Do I need this microphone? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
I'm pretty loud, so I'm gonna move this thing out of the way because it's kind of freaking me out a little bit. So Piero told me that this is an informal talk, and so I'm gonna start this talk in a really abstract way. As Piero kind of mentioned, I'm the program manager for Pier 9's Artists in Residence program. And I'm here to share with you the genesis of the program, what we do, what we really care about, some of our favorite projects, and what does it mean for artists to have access to tools that they wouldn't normally have access to. So I'm going to start my talk out with a little bit of a video. So pardon me as I run over here and do this. If you have to run, this video is sort of an abstract of my entire talk. So just stick around for this 1 minute and you'll be good to go from there. That's a way to start off the talk. You can tell we're in the art side of tonight's presentation, so thank you so much for letting me kick things off that way. So let's see here. As you heard earlier, I'm the program manager for the Artists in Residence program at Pier 9. But before becoming an Artists in Residence manager, I actually studied product design. One of my personal passions is furniture design, and I tend to explore the use of digital fabrication tools in my work. Prior to moving to San Francisco, my past career was heavily involved in digital fabrication tools. I used tools like these to help art fabrication companies do their work. I tried to help companies incorporate these tools into their workflow. And some of these projects included large-scale sculptural enlargements in the world of fine art, in the world of architectural decor, as well as in the world of theming. So up top is a large blue whale that was enlarged from a maquette that scientists took about 3 years to create, and that's currently in the Smithsonian Institute in DC. Now, so Carol mentioned earlier that I work for Autodesk. How many of you have heard of Autodesk? Awesome, okay. How many people know more than 3 products that Autodesk creates? Okay, there we go. I thought so. Autodesk is quite synonymous for a lot of tools. A lot of people know us for AutoCAD, which is a great tool that we developed over 30 years ago. But you might not know that Autodesk is also responsible for over 150 products used to create items and things that touch your everyday lives, whether you know it or not. Those things could be the car that, I don't get to drive, but some people do drive. Buildings that some people do live in. And the movies that I do watch some of those, and the things that we might want to make. So over the last 30 years, Autodesk has been wonderful at creating software that makes beautiful, shiny things that tend to live behind the screen, and then somebody else goes and brings it into real life using whatever tool it is that they need to do. And so we've really shifted our focus to really look into helping people make things. So this takes me to Pier 9. Pier 9 is a magical space. It is, some people call it the Disneyland for adults. It's the Maker's Wonderland. It's a 35,000 square foot workshop and office environment based along the waterfront in San Francisco. We're at Pier 9, like our title is. And it's a space where employees get to experience firsthand the practice of making things. One of those employees is our CEO, Carl Bass. Carl comes in and likes to work on his electric go-kart machine. So not only is it the workshop for Carl, but it's for everybody in between to come in and work on projects that are personal projects, professional projects, a little bit of everything so that we all learn how to make things. And hopefully that helps us develop better software. And when I say us, I am not a computer scientist. I don't create software myself, but we like to think of us as a whole. So Pier 9 nowadays has become a little bit of a space where the digital meets the physical. And we have a little bit of everything from analog to digital. So I'm going to take you on a bit of a mini tour. First off is our test kitchen. How many of you know how to cook? So in our minds, you all have your own personal workshop at home. If you know how to cook, you are indeed a maker, and the test kitchen is one of our favorite spaces. Now we also have spaces that you think every workshop probably has. This is our wood shop. This is our metal shop. You know, this looks really, really clean. We clean once a week on Wednesdays, so I think we took that picture on Wednesday. And then we have the electronics lab. We have our textiles area. We also have our 3D print lab. Now, 3D print lab is a term that has sort of enchanted the world in the last few years. And so, of course, we've got about 5 production quality 3D printers in this room, multiples of some of them. And then there's also a bunch of consumer level 3D printers that are scattered throughout our offices. This room also houses some of our laser cutting machines. And so it's one of my favorite rooms in this space as well. This next room is where things kind of get really serious. This is our Cnc Lab. Our Cnc Lab houses 5 heavy-duty production quality digital manufacturing machines. This one in particular is a 5-axis CNC machine. It's a mill that can create sculptures with undercuts in various forms. This next one over here is one of the biggest workhorses in our shop. It is a 5-axis water jet machine. A water jet can cut marble, steel, glass, pretty much your arm, anything you put underneath it. And there's actually an awesome story about this particular water jet machine. We've dubbed her Liz Taylor. Liz works extremely well. She's a wonderful job, just like the real Liz Taylor. But every once in a while, she kind of has a mental breakdown. And so in the shop, she's got about 5 husbands that can get her back up on her feet. And so this is one of her husbands, Mark, giving her a little bit of a love tap. And then recently, we also expanded to have a robotics lab as well as a bio-nano lab. So we like to think of Pier 9 as a space that intersects art, design, science, technology, and manufacturing. Now, none of these tools really mean anything unless you start to think about the people that actually bring those places to life. And these are some of those people. So Pier 9 is first and foremost a community. We're a community of creative people that just happen to be housed in a badass workshop. This particular picture is Tremendous Tuesday. On the last Tuesday of every month, we're encouraged to wear anything that inspires us, and costumes that have been put away for a little while. But I mean, I think why I wanted to show you this is because it gives you an idea of what we truly believe in. We believe in experimentation, exploration, but also empowering people to be their full selves. Now, we're highly influenced by a company called Instructables. So you guys might recognize this little character right there. Anybody? Yeah. Instructables is a DIY website. You can go on, blog anything from how to make a pumpkin pie to how to create a jet engine. I mean, if you want to learn how to make anything, go check out Instructables. It's a really fun website where individuals post their own articles. So you're also welcome to share what it is that you like to create on Instructables.com. The company is run by an exciting group of people who unite under a culture that's driven by curiosity, discovery, and the sharing of ideas. I'm going to underline that part, the sharing of ideas. The Artist in Residence program started under Instructables before it was acquired by Autodesk. It was really a group of wacky makers who just wanted to come together and make fun things and post that stuff online. But once the website was acquired by Autodesk, the residency really began to take its kind of more, how do I put it on here, formal existence. So this is what being an artist in residence kind of looks like today at Pier 9. This is Jeremy Magner, one of our artists in residence from the last cohort, working our 5-axis CNC. So traditional artist in residence programs, if you're not familiar with what those are, happen all over the world, and they generally provide time and space for artists to develop new ideas. Some of them also provide housing. Our artist in residence program provides what some would argue none of those things. We provide artists with the access to tools that they would never have access to use. Some of them are tools that they've never even seen. And our residency makes these tools accessible to these creatives who are excited to push the boundaries of what these tools can do. So, since we started, we've worked with over 150 artists since 2013. For our most recent application deadline, which just passed about 3 weeks ago, we received 130 submissions, and of that came through from about 22 different countries. 130 may not seem very high, but we rely very much on word of mouth, which is one reason why I'm here today, to kind of share with you guys what we do. And the caliber of the artists that have been applying have been absolutely phenomenal. So over the last 3 years, we've refined our program quite a lot. We bring on 16 artists twice a year. Each cohort lasts for about 4 months. We provide the artists with an $8,000 stipend and a project budget to cover material costs and everything to go along with their projects. What I think makes our program actually more unique is that, especially for a corporate tech company artist in residence program, the artists actually own everything that they create. They take with them the IP, they take with them the physical manifestations of their project, and so they're really there as a way for us to share. We ask them to share what they create. And so along with that, they also receive 24/7 access to the workshop, expertise from our community. They can have any Autodesk software that they would like. I think that covers anything. Bernie, did I miss anything?
Well, they have access to each other.
They have access to each other as well. And that actually, thank you, Bernie, that leads me to my next point. So, Bernie was an artist in residence in our cohort last year. So we use the term artist very loosely. Our artists are better known as heirs in our community. And it's a multidisciplinary cohort, a mixture of the traditional artists, but also engineers, designers, architects. Sometimes we bring on robotics specialists, fashion designers, folks that are doing wearables. If we're lucky, we have a culinary technologist in the group, so any kind of maker that you can possibly think of. And like Bernie said, one of the nice things is being able to exchange ideas among people that you don't get to normally work beside. Now, who are the folks that we're looking for to join the program? Well, we're looking for folks who have a beginning to the vocabulary surrounding these tools. They have an idea of how these tools can enhance their practices. They are, whether they're emerging artists or established artists, that doesn't matter so much to us. What we're more interested in is whether they're at a time in their career where they can really take advantage of this opportunity. Also, they have to be willing to share. So here's Bernie's cohort. There's Bernie right there. Does this thing have a, yeah, right there. And so I get asked all the time, why does Autodesk have an artist in residence program? Well, the nice thing is we're a design company, so we try to make software for artists to create things. But I would say the value has multiple folds. On one level, artists really inject a culture of curiosity into our workspace. They take our staff away from the typical 9-to-5 job. They also help us understand how we can possibly make better products for our clients. We don't put our artists in sort of like these two-way mirror rooms and ask them to do a bunch of clicks, but just through osmosis, we understand what they're trying to do, and from that we get to go back and kind of question how we're creating our tools, what are our tools used for, and how can we make them better. Now, the artists in residence have also been helping us change the reputation of our company. As I asked earlier, most of you know us by the software AutoCAD. But over the past few years, the artist in residence has really kind of made a lot of waves in the headlines and shown people some really wonderful things that can be done. One of my favorite things about working with artists is that they're not afraid to take risks. They're here, they're passionate, they really want to do what they've set themselves up to do. So I'm going to take you through some of the projects that have come through our doors. So this first project here is a project by an artist named Anouk Burpet. Anouk is a fashion designer. She typically works in 3D printing. At Pier 9, she wanted to move away from 3D printing for a second and work on the water jet machine that I was talking about earlier. She created this dress. It's called the Faraday dress, and it's 94 panels, all cut and kind of linked together with chain link. Each of those panels has a steel spike coming out of them, and this allowed her to join a group called Architect on stage at Maker Faire, and ultimately be electrified between 2 Tesla coils, which are arcing over 1 million volts. So I like to think of this as a project that, you know, gives us the ability to do things maybe we should never do. This next project is a total diversion from that, where Madeline Ganon developed this communication device called Quit that allows robots to see. So robots are typically very hard things. They crush people, they hurt people if you do things wrong. So they're normally put behind a cage. And so how can we remove that barrier between the robot and the human being and allow us to collaborate together and do things that we never thought possible? So using 3D printed markers, a motion capture system, Madeline developed this kind of software, hardware combination that would allow her to work alongside these robots. They can mirror her, they can follow her, they can avoid her, and hopefully applications for something like this could be in the film industry, could be medical, could be in fashion, various things. But what she's focusing on is the tools and the software to bring robots and humans closer together.
What is she doing in that picture? She seems to be showing the robot something.
So that's one of the markers that she created, and it's got little balls on it. And there's a motion capture system that you're not seeing in this image, but it's kind of all around. And the cameras can see this thing, and they tell the robot what to do to follow her around. So I had a video in here earlier, but I took them out because we're having kind of video issues here right now. This next project is an architectural project. So some projects are kind of living in the future. This one's living in a little bit of today. Ricardo Lamanga is an architect and designer who created this project called Bentwood Pavilion. Anytime you create architectural spaces that have curved forms, they cost a lot of money. And so Ricardo wanted to explore ways in which you can leverage the natural properties of building materials that we have today in ways that are unique and compelling. And for this particular project, he developed a system that takes a particular design and breaks it up into this particular one is 500 individual panels, unique panels at that, that combine together to create this form. The whole structure weighs about 160 kilograms and was able to be put together in about 3 days by 2 people. Next is a project that, you know, isn't about a physical form. It isn't about something that we can live in or use. It's about bringing a dialogue and bringing a conversation about the world that we live in today. So this project was done by Morashine Alihari. It's called Material Speculation ISIS. And Morashine, when she joined the program, was really moved by the YouTube videos that came out in 2015 of the ancient artifacts that were destroyed by ISIS. Do you guys remember some of those videos?
Yes.
And so that really touched base for her, and she's already been very interested in petroleum politics and the things around the space, around that world. So she created this project as a way to kind of bring about a discussion to do with the way we live today and the things that we see on the news. It's not a political project in her mind, it's about using art to have that conversation. I'm going to kind of skip forward by a project and jump to this one over here. This is a project by John Edmark. This is a project called Blooms. Some projects just kind of blow our minds, and this is one of those projects. John was really inspired by the phenomenon of the golden ratio, and he created these objects that when they spin at a high rate, in conjunction with a strobe light, they actually animate and the petals move. And I've got some videos that you can check out later, and I highly recommend you go online and check out these videos because they're really fun and they really blow your mind.
How do we find them online?
You'll see our website a little bit later, yeah. So, now, I want to get into the heart of it all, though. And so what does it mean for artists to have access to these tools? What does it mean for them to be hands-on with some of these tools? And there's something that is really wonderful that happens in the process when you're physically there, you're cutting the metal that is going into your project. A lot of the times, artists are sending a lot of these projects out to a service bureau, and they're getting parts back that are in mint condition and exactly what they asked for. But there's something beautiful that happens when mistakes happen or tangents occur. And so what we're doing is asking artists to go down those tangents and to understand and explore what happens when these tools do essentially what they normally do. Another benefit to coming to Pier 9 and to using these tools is the ability to iterate. A lot of the times, designers and artists will design things and maybe over-engineer things because they know that it will increase the probability of them being able to actually execute on the project. Well, if you can understand how you can push these tools to the limits or how you can push materials to the limits, perhaps you can design things in just a way that you're not sacrificing your artistic intent. So that's another wonderful reason why we love to have artists come in and use our space. Last but not least, in terms of why is it important for artists in residence programs like ours to exist, is to share that knowledge and to bring about that information. So our artists share all of their projects on Instructables.com, and by doing so, we get to pass on that knowledge to future generations to come. So one of my favorite moments is the meetings that happen. This is one of our weekly meetings. And so the point here is that the tools can only do so much and the community has to step in. So here we discuss the means and methods in which we create our work and how that connects to the world around us. We also have 2 reviews per cohort where we try to bring about a critical dialogue within the community and to help propel the work to new spaces. At the end of the day, our artists in residence share what they do, like I said, on Instructables, but they also do a presentation at Pier 9. We record all these presentations, just like these talks are here. So I would welcome you to visit our Vimeo site to check out some of those presentations. We also host 2 exhibits a year, one at the end of every cohort, and they are open to the public. So if you sign up for our newsletter, you'll be able to come in and check out the work that we do. And with every project that is in that space, we have an iPad next to it that allows you to understand how the project was made. So what we're really trying to do is to peel back the curtain on how these things are made and open it up to our family, our audiences, our friends to experience the work the way that we do. Now, I can't leave today without giving a huge thanks to the village that comes together to help support our community. This is just a small handful of those wonderful people who create a space that is non-judgmental, inviting, welcoming, supportive for the artists in residence and everybody in our workshop. There's about 15 other people who also support our space, so I just want to take a moment to acknowledge those guys as well. And together we create an environment that welcomes discovery, experimentation, and sometimes we also accept failure. So my leaving notes for you today are that I want to remind us all that creativity comes when we embrace a sense of curiosity. It also comes when we give people the freedom to explore so that the tools they use will allow them to discover new ideas. Last but not least, it's important to allow people to be their full selves and to have fun. So thank you very much.